Okay, let's talk about Bitcoin some and Africa. Uh, okay, so isn't it absurd that nearly 326 million people, 80% of the adult population in Africa, do not have access to bank accounts? This is a wretched situation that denies countless people financial freedom in the so-called dark continent. Uh, so, a study of 10 African nations with an unusual inflation ratio. South Sudan registering an unimaginable inflation rate of 295%. Egypt has the least inflation of these 10 nations with 12.3%. It says African governments continue to plunder the richest of the African people through inflation. This makes it considerably insurmountable for individuals to conserve their resources. Okay, so let's talk about what this means. First off, think 326 million people. Okay? Now, the maximum bitcoins for the whole world is 20 million. Okay? That's the maximum bitcoins for the entire world. 20 million, that's it. 326 million people in Africa alone. Well, it's just simple math. You take 326 million people and you divide 20 million amongst 326 million. It means they don't get one Bitcoin. It means they only get a small fraction of a Bitcoin, and that's only for Africa. That means Africa, when it really gets going, is going to suck up all the Bitcoin all by themselves. They're going to want them all. There's none left for us. There's none left for North America. There's none left for China. Hasn't China been sucking them all up? Isn't most of them in China? Well, how much is, when Africa wants them all, right? Because there's 326 million people in Africa and they want them all. How much are they going to have to pay to get them back from the Chinese? Have we ever thought about these kind of things when this thing actually gets going? So what kind of price could Bitcoin go to? It seems to me I read an article just a few days ago where it said Bitcoin price by year 2030 would be over $500,000 each. Okay, I find that kind of interesting, don't you? Anyway, let's read on. This inflation in Africa is driving these African people crazy. They're losing all their money. And so there's these guys now are pushing for penetration into Africa with Bitcoins. These mobile wallets. And they asked this guy, I said, when do you think Africans will finally embrace Bitcoin? And he says, I don't think they will. I think they already have embraced Bitcoin. We are seeing a fantastic adoption in places like South Africa and Nigeria. I'm sure it'll ripple to other African nations too. Yes, as the word goes out. This is just the beginning of something huge. Right? Bitcoin is not going to die. Are you kidding? It's not going to die. It is going to grow like you've never seen anything grow before. This is going to be unreal from what I'm reading here. They also asked the guy, they said, what makes Bitcoin expensive in Africa rather than elsewhere? He says, Bitcoin is a very liquid instrument. It is easy to move around the world. This, in theory, means that it can and will trade at roughly the same exchange price wherever it is available. Obviously, there are many factors at play, but since the price is determined by supply and demand, it means that in some places where the demand is low, it may trade at a lower price and vice versa. Another issue is connectivity. To transact Bitcoin, you need an internet connection and ideally a smartphone. Many places are still undeserved by the telecos, but this is changing fast. The price of smartphones is also continuously getting cheaper. So, what we see here is a potential new source that's going to suck up an awful lot of Bitcoins. Africa's going to start sucking them up quicker than they're being mined. It's just as simple as that. And so the price of Bitcoin right now, people think it's high. It's just beginning. It's just beginning. I would recommend that that there's two coins in my estimation. Now, this is just my opinion. Well, actually, maybe three. You should have yourself a little bit of Ethereum. You should have yourself a little bit of Litecoin. You should have yourself a little bit of Bitcoins. That's what I think. Now, this is my opinion. Just take it for what it's worth. But a fellow should have a little bit of those three coins put away for himself, just as a kind of like a little investment. Now, do not invest more money than you're willing to lose. How much money would you be willing to take out of your wallet right now and light on fire? And say, okay, I can lose that money. Or walk into a casino and lay down on the casino table there and bet it. And if you lose, you'd say, oh, well, I can live with that. That's how much money you want to put down on Bitcoin, Litecoin, and Ethereum. Don't put more money than you're willing to lose. Okay? Now, this is just a word of advice from me. And this is not financial advice. It's just, I don't want to see you going in 90% of everything you got into this, because you might get burnt awful bad, and that's not a good thing to get burnt. So just put in what money you can afford actually to lose into this. So thank you for listening. Like and subscribe, and we will catch you in the next article. Bye.